So, Steven Deeble is an award-winning writer, filmmaker, and multimedia artist. His photography and visual art has been shown in galleries across Southern California. He's written, produced, and directed several short films, as well as helping produce 2 independent features. He co-produced the winner of Science Magazine's 2017 Dance Your PhD film competition, which sounds fascinating, with his cousin, Nancy Sherrick. A Long Beach native, Steven has helped found the Long Beach Children's Museum and ArtX Visual Arts Center, just around the corner. He has left Long Beach 3 times, as we sometimes do, but its gravity always draws him back. He returned to Long Beach last year and currently lives in Bixby Knolls. He published his first novel, Persistence of Vision, in 2017, which is what we're very excited to hear more about. And at that coffee meeting, he was telling me the backstory about this book, and I was like, oh man, people want to hear about that. So please welcome Steven Deeble.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very exciting to be here to talk to you about this. So I wrote this book, Persistence of Vision. Persistence of Vision. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Let me get this up a little bit. So I wanted to just tell you a little bit about my experience writing it. It's my first novel. I've never written a book before. And I don't want you to get the impression that this is an instructional presentation. In fact, in many ways, what I'm going to tell you is really probably not how to go about writing a book. Because I did some things. It was kind of an experiment. But I wanted to start out by talking about what inspired me to do it in the first place. So, obviously, growing up, I was an avid reader. We've got some kids here. I hope they all love to read. My parents introduced me to reading early, and eventually I just took to it. First thing that I can really remember being engaged by was a Sherlock Holmes story. So I went right into the detective genre very early. When I started working on this, this is actually more in the genre of a Raymond Chandler, Dashiell Hammett, kind of hard-boiled noir detective story. I love that genre, so I thought I'll try writing in that genre. And what am I going to write about? And one of the things that struck me was how much I love Long Beach. And I mean, seriously, one of the things why I'm here tonight even is, I'll tell you a secret. I came back to Long Beach. First thing I did after I got settled in my apartment was I came here, and Andrew fitted me out with a t-shirt that says, Long Beach made me. And that's absolutely true. I'm a product of the school district, went to City College, took classes at Cal State, children's theater through the Parks and Recreation Department. So me personally, I'm a product of Long Beach. But one of the other things that really inspired me was my family history here. My family came to Long Beach in 1910. And my grandfather was actually involved in developing different aspects of the city. For example, if you could make this wall disappear, and the wall behind it, and the wall behind it, there's a building directly behind us at the corner of what used to be American Avenue, is now Long Beach Boulevard, and East Broadway. And my grandfather built that in 1923. It was the tallest skyscraper on the West Coast. I'm kind of proud of that. He had an office down here in the Arts District on First. He also was responsible for developing Bixby Knolls, which is one of the reasons I live there right now. Because I really, when I came back here, I wanted to get back to my roots. I really did. And it's the first time I've lived there. And it's kind of exciting to live in a place where you have that kind of connection. So a lot of Long Beach influence. So and there are a couple of specific images that come to mind when I think about this. One of them is a family thing, and that's we had this old photograph of my Uncle Joe and a guy named Harry Buffum. So people of a certain age might recall Buffum's Department Stores, which was a Long Beach chain of department stores. Well, Harry Buffum was of that family. So my Uncle Joe and Harry Buffum are 14, I think, in this picture. And they're standing on either side of Stan Laurel, of Laurel and Hardy. They were performing on Catalina doing magic, and Stan Laurel saw them, and he invited them to come out to his yacht. And so this picture shows them, 14-year-olds, standing on either side of Stan Laurel wearing a yachting outfit, like captain's hat and blazer, and it's not like you normally see Stan Laurel. So, but that image has been in my mind since I was a kid. We saw that picture when we were young. The other image is one that came to me through time I spent at the Historical Society of Long Beach. My family, because they were here so early, and had such involvement in the city, they were members of the Pacific Coast Club. That's gone now. I never got to go in there. They, talked about the Pike and what the Pike was like back in the heyday. When I was growing up, the Pike was the place that every 70s television show went to when they needed a seedy, rundown location, right? But the Pike was, in fact, in the day, considered to be Coney Island of the West Coast. It was supposed to be amazing. So I would go to the Historical Society and look at these old pictures. And one of the pictures in particular that really appealed to me was the Midway that had what they called the Walk of 1,000 Lights. And the Walk of 1,000 Lights was basically strands of electric lights that went up and down this sidewalk, and at sunset every night they would turn the lights on, and people would go, ooh. And I think about that. I think, it's kind of funny that today we think about, 1,000 light bulbs, right? But what appealed to me about that was that back then, that made people go, ooh. So I wanted to kind of try and experience that for myself. So I thought, well, what if I wrote a story that took place back then? And I can actually, put myself there. Or not myself, but my characters, so vicariously I put myself there. So that's what got me started. So the first thing I did was I began by doing research. I had two things that I did for research. Specifically, I spent a lot of time in the library, down at the main library, microfilm and microfiche, going through old LA Times, trying to absorb the time period. I didn't really know exactly when I wanted it to take place. I didn't know what the story was about, but I just started pulling in information, looking at everything, articles, in the news. But one of the things that was really interesting was the advertisements, and I got something from just seeing an advertisement that today wouldn't really even be an advertisement because it wouldn't mean anything to anybody. But seeing that in that newspaper in 1929, I thought, oh my God, really? Well, that's something. And I put that in my back pocket for later. The other thing I was doing for research was going to the Historical Society of Long Beach. Now, at the time that I started this project, and it took me longer to write this book than many of you have been alive, 25 years. So a lot of my friends actually had kids, sent them to college. This is my kid, all right? This is my kid. So I spent a lot of time at the Historical Society, and at the time they were down on Pine Avenue. It took me so long to write the book, they moved 3 times. That's serious. So I started working on this just really, like I said, I spent a year just collecting information about it, trying to get a sense of the time, the place, what is this going to be about? I didn't know.